Hello and welcome back to another very special episode of me spending way too much time counting blocks and placing blocks. Um, this episode is pretty exciting because I did a bunch of things that I was a little bit worried about, and we'll get to why in a second. I've been a little bit less productive than normal because I've been playing the Outer Wilds DLC and being too scared to do anything else. So let's start by going into this portal. Now, in the past, I said that I might not do anything in the Nether. I thought it was a bit too much of a big job. I'm not sure why I thought that. It hasn't been that bad, but let's take a look at what we've done here. So coming through the portal, you'll see, a familiar sight of these fences and our panic room. And we have two paths we can take. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, ba, 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 ba. Let's start with this one. Well, no. Let's start with this one. So, this episode marks the first time I've done an update since I've updated my version of Minecraft to 1.17. And that's pretty exciting. And the reason I took such a long time to do that is because I wanted to make sure that no matter how far out I ventured in trying to recreate what they've done already, I didn't come across anything that didn't match what they what they saw when they first built things. So they started out on 1.16.3, so they would have seen resources in certain places. I wanted to make sure that all that matched when I was trying to build these things. And if I had started on 1.17, then it just might not have matched up. And that would have caused a problem. So I wanted to build everything that I could in the area that they had explored before they updated their version. And as of now, I feel like I've done that. So let's take a look. This is quite a long path, which is made a little bit shorter by flying, but still takes a while. So we're going to Atlantis, and luckily, we were very lucky that the place that Gura and Ame built Atlantis was on a little island that was already in the world. So they didn't make a little island. They just found an island and built there, which is great because that means that I could also find that same island and didn't have to, if it was in the middle of the ocean and they had just built up a little sand island, it probably would have been impossible unless they had specifically brought their coordinates up at that exact spot. But luckily for us, as you'll see in 3, 2, 1, we have this sand island, which is precisely located and precisely sized for this cute little cabin. Of course, there isn't actually that much to show off here. It's just a little building, but I'm really happy because this is quite far away from base. We're at over 5,000 blocks in one direction and 1,500 blocks in the other direction. So to find this place, in the stream where Ame and Gura were building it and they found the location, they had coordinates that they were looking for because management had found the coral biome. And so they were traveling over sea to find this place. So they kept checking coordinates. So that was a nice way to do it because you could look at their coordinates from there, where it was. And then when they found this place, they built the house and they built the nether portal. And the nether portal, of course, spawns roughly in the same spot that theirs spawned. Actually, my nether portal spawned one block to the left or right, however you want to think of it. So I started digging, and I realized by looking at some of these resources here that I was actually in the wrong spot. So what I think happens, and someone can correct me, I guess, if I'm wrong, is that when you build a new nether portal, the portal that spawns on the other side is going to be in a little 8x8 chunk that corresponds to the block that the nether portal was in the first place. But in that 8x8 chunk, I think the placement is actually random. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. That seems right to me because this nether portal was slightly offset, but I was able to find the right spot and just move it over. So, I mean, that's all there is to see here. But it's nice to get this done because people come down here a lot, especially lately. I know Crony and Bay and all the council members, I think, have come down here at least once. People come here to collect coral, so it's a nice feature to have in the server. And if I want it to be complete, this is definitely necessary to put in. So I'm glad this is in. And then once we go into the Nether and Gura and Ame start building this path, this was fairly easy to... I mean, the path itself is really easy because it's 2 straight lines going one direction, make a right turn, go the other direction until you intersect with the base. So that was not so bad. The hard part was knowing when to stop. And where to make this line. In the end, it wasn't too bad. I could use some just streams, and the one thing that saved me a little bit was, well, you can look through the windows and see the landmarks of where we are, so that's nice. And then when they make the right turn, they hit this tree. And then, as it so happens, if you go this way, it lines up. So this was a nice landmark here. And then it was just a matter of filling out these walls and building the glass, and that didn't actually take that long, especially because in creative mode you can do things really fast. So let's go back to the base, the Nether base. And the thing is, this path really intimidated me because it's so long, and I thought, oh, how am I going to know where to go? But in the end, it was not actually that big of a job. Zooming, zooming, zooming. And here we arrive back at the portal. There's even one of these guys here, just like in their, often in their streams there'll be one of these guys hanging out in these lava pools, so that's fun. And now we have this rail. Let's take a look at what we have down here. As you can see, I turned off the sound, that's great. I've tried to recreate this railway as accurately as I can. It might not be perfect, but it certainly gets the job done. Yeah, so not really much to say as we go down the rail, but soon we'll come across the next landmark of our Nether journey, which is the Nether Branch KFP. And this is fun. This was also pretty easy to build because, we had a build stream of it with Kiara and Ina. Now it's helpful. We have this portal leading to the sandy desert. Now this, again, because of the random spawny nature of portals, I don't think this appears in exactly the same spot, but if you dig up, we are in the desert biome, so of course it leads us where we want to go. Here we've got KFP, which is appropriately burning on top. This guy's not supposed to be here, but I guess he's guarding the merchandise. If you look inside, there's some chickens happily sacrificing their time and their lives to serve the local piglins their chicken, or phoenix, I guess. Here is our resident gotcha pig, Phil. I spawned piglins until I found one that was equipped the same way that Phil was. That was, for some reason, pretty important to me, to have the gold helmet, the gold armor, and the sword. And yeah, he's just here to feed gold bars, and he'll give you back some random stuff. In the end, I thought, because this place is pretty wide open and there's not a lot of landmarks to use as reference, I thought it was going to be pretty hard to place things, but in the end, especially since this portal is right next to this building, it ended up being not so bad. And now we can move on to the next part of our tour, Kiara's Railway to Japan and Okinawa. So this, I didn't really know quite what to expect with this one. This railway is pretty windy, and I thought it might be pretty hard to follow, but as it turns out, the path is pretty straightforward. This winding little bit isn't exact because it's hard to count those railways, but once we get here, this part is pretty much cookie cutter to what Kiara built. We can follow the rail, look around, and it's nice that there's these tunnels, and often the tunnel will end when it hits open air. So that's what Kiara built. That's the way Kiara built it, and that makes it easy for me to build it too. When you hit a tunnel, you just kind of go until you hit open air. Sometimes it goes up, but usually that's also when it hits like an open space. And that's partly because I think when Kiara built this, she was just exploring. She was just like going. So sort of the rail just sort of naturally took a path that it took. There's another example where she ran into an open lava pit and turned around. So I was able to do that too. And this ride is pretty long also, but we'll get there soon. Right now. So we get out of our minecart, leave it on the ground, and climb this stairway. Okay, so this was a bit tricky. These stairs are not going to be exact to what Kiara built. I tried to do it fairly accurately, but I mean the height is exact, but the length of the steps, sometimes she has steps that are 2 blocks long and some 1. So that was a little bit hard to negotiate, but here we have this portal. Now, because the stairs are not exact to how Kiara built them, when I built this portal here, of course it didn't spit me out in the same spot that Kiara's portal does. So what happened was it spit me out into, so let's look in here. Now you'll notice this is actually exactly how Kiara's portal looks, but the original portal spit me out into a sort of an adjacent cavern, and I noticed it didn't look the same. So what I had to do was dig up, go through the ocean, and then sort of try to track down where her hole was. So she had this pillar that stretched up into the sky, and when she went back down to her portal, I was able to somehow, using landmarks in the ocean floor, like seaweed and sort of edges here, find like the general area, like a 2x2 area here where her hole is. So I was able to dig down there, destroy my first portal, and then build a portal in the same spot that her portal was. And because, of course, there's already a portal in the Nether, it linked those 2 portals together, and now we have this nice connection that, while this portal's not in the exact same spot, it does link to the right place here. So that's pretty exciting. So let's climb up. Now this place isn't that exciting. This is the location where Kiara got her Trident RTA exciting stream, where she got a Trident on the first try without even trying. So that's a pretty notable event that happens here. So this island here is the island of Japan. And then if we go this way, this is the island of Okinawa. And if you take a left, Kiara built a little house. Now, this is all based on that Trident stream. So if she's done anything here since then, it's not included in the server. Until I find some stream where she does go here again, this is as up to date as I can make it for now. But that's all it is, just a little house. But of course, the server wouldn't really be complete without this this place being spawned. So if I had updated the server to 1.17 before I came here, this place might be a bit different, and I couldn't have that, could I? So I wanted to make sure this was all set in stone before I updated. And of course, now that it is set in stone and I have updated, there's some fun things that I'm able to do that I wasn't able to do before. And we'll get to that in a second. We do have to go back, which is a little bit long. Maybe I'll edit it. Maybe I won't. I'm a bit... oh, God. Which direction? Which direction? This way. Okay. Sorry. All right, let's go back down the rail. Placing the rails is a little bit of a, I don't know why I did that. Placing the rails is a bit of a meditative process. Once they're all laid down, just placing the gold rails, and it doesn't take too long actually, but it always seems like a daunting task because the rail's really long. And I always put down too many gold rails because I'm a little bit paranoid that they won't put enough, and then the rail will be too slow. Oh gosh. So yeah, so I've been playing Outer Wilds, and Ame is actually playing the DLC as we speak, but I'm not finished. So I watched about half of her stream, and I had to leave because I didn't want to be spoiled. But I hope she's having a good time. She seemed to be having a good time in the part that I watched. Boop, boop, boop. And I'm probably going to edit this part out because it's just long. I don't have anything to talk about. So, and if I didn't edit it out, hello. Thank you for your patience. There are some other things that I want to reveal in a second. This whole video is like the video of things far away, because that was kind of the theme of today's adventure. So we're going to go all the way back to the Nether portal. As far as I know, there's not actually that much more to build down here. The major things were KFP, Phil, the path to Okinawa, the path to Gura's Atlantis. There's also a path to Ina's slime farm, but that's not quite as long. Just gonna do this, and we'll get to that in a second. Now I didn't actually build that path in the Nether, but it's easy to find because in the stream where Ina and Kiara built KFP, they do sort of go down that road a little bit, so it should be fairly easy to locate. But for now, we're gonna have to go there the analog above ground way, which is why I brought my handy dandy map. So when I first built Taco Bell, I did say that it wouldn't actually be complete until I filled out a map and hung it on the wall. So let's just go take a look at that. There it is. Now actually this is the second map I made because I didn't realize that, I don't know if this is only creative mode or what, but if you put a map on the wall and then later try to take the map down, it just disappears. It doesn't go into your inventory. I don't know if that was a glitch or how it's supposed to work, but so I've made a couple copies of this so that doesn't happen again. I had to make more than one map, but this time I was able to put some labels down, so I was pretty happy about that. Also, because now we're in 17.1, we've got axolotls in the game. So we can take a look at that quickly. I went a little bit spammy with the axolotls, so there are too many, but they're cute, so I'm going to leave them. I also had to learn how those worked, in that if you spawn them from the if you spawn them from an egg, they will despawn unless you catch them again and then throw them back. So you have to be spawned from a bucket so that they won't despawn. So to get different colored ones, we had to throw an egg. We had to use an egg to spawn them, then catch them again, and then throw them back. If you spawn them from the bucket, they'll all be pink, which is too bad. So let's use this map to find out where we're going here. So yeah, we're headed towards that swamp house up in the top center there. Because, oh, actually, before we go there, this is one other thing that I've done that was a little bit of a milestone, because I was worried about this. Mainly because, I don't know why I was worried about it. It was fairly easy to put in the right spot. But for a while I was worried that this island was pretty amorphous and hard to count where to put things. So I put this off, but I finally put in Hachima's suicide tower. And she actually had a stack of cobblestone in her inventory, and she just built until that stack ran out. So I was able to pinpoint exactly how high this was using that. So that was nice. And on we go to the swamp house. Now, I did end up building the slime farm, which is where we're going now. I'm not sure if something about the update to 1.17.1 broke the design for the slime farm. I built it exactly the way Ina did, using the exact positioning and the chunk indicators and all that. My AFK platform is the right height, but no slimes are spawning on the farm. And when Ina looks at it, there are plenty of slimes spawning, so I don't think it's my fault, unless I just did something silly and wrong. But that would also mean that Ina's slime farm is broken now too, which is a bit sad, if that's true, but we won't find out until she tells us. If she's already told us, then I haven't heard it, but I'd love to know. So here it is. Just a big platform with an iron golem for the slimes to attack. And they fall into here, and their slimy balls go into the hopper. And of course there's a little house here to accompany. This banner is the swamp house banner that's on the map. And I built this nether portal, which we can eventually make a path to. But that spits us out here, and we'll have to take a little bit of time to find out how to connect it to the main base. In fact, look at that. You can see the rail right there. So it's really close. Just a matter of making a little path to it. And yeah, so that's it. But those are some pretty hefty things that got done, and I'm pretty happy about that. And with that, my goal. So last update, I did mention in a comment that my goal is to share this file with the internet when it's ready, as a downloadable single-player world. And my goal is to upload it once I'm fairly certain, or to a reasonable extent, that this world is accurate to where the EN server was just before the JP portal was activated. So this will be like the version of the EN server just before that point, hopefully relatively accurate. And now that the Nether is involved, it does feel a little bit more authentic too, so that's cool. And with that, was there anything else I wanted to say? Look forward to more updates. What's next is probably the Trident farm, Creeper farm, and path to this portal. And we're getting pretty close, so I'm not quite sure what else to do. I did make the pond in front of the onsen that Gura made, so that's done. The pond near her little gazebo is not done, so there's that to do too. But I'm hopeful that within a week it'll be ready to share. So please look forward to that. And if you have any suggestions for me, please let me know. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.